in clear? Am I coming in clear?
Yep. Yep.
All right. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that uh, first thing that you just said, or last thing that you just said, Anna Marie.
Okay. So hi, Carol, and now Carol is now Carol. Can I get you to introduce yourself first, and I'm just going to do a quick introduction. Get everyone to do a quick introduction, then we'll just go to the questions. Sorry, this is my first.
Okay, hi, I'm Carol. Oh, are you ready for me, Anne Marie?
Yeah, sorry.
Hello, everyone. I am Carol Bettis, and Barry. I too live in the U.S. in the beautiful state of Alabama. And welcome. Excited to be here and looking forward to hearing what Mandy and Patty has to say. Thank you.
Okay, I've got Nat. I'll go in order that's listed. So Nat.
Hi, I'm Nat Pearce. I'm from Western Australia, just down south of Perth, and I'm here as support for Anna Marie and Barry, and I'm really looking forward to this podcast and hearing all about it. So, yeah.
Okay, and then we've got Anita next.
I'm Anita Worth. I've been with Frega for 10 years, and I've come along to support Anna Marie.
And Patty and Mandy, because Anita's Patty's right-hand woman. And Bitty.
Yes, hi, my name is Elizabeth Biddy Schramm. That's what they call me, Biddy. And I met Anne Marie through class, and I'm here to support her. And I'm very excited to meet all of you and to talk about what we talk about.
And then we've got Patty next. So I'm just going down the list, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Going by surnames.
Hi, Anne-Marie. I'm Patty Delaney with my lovely wife, Mandy Delaney. The whole concept and idea behind Frega started as a conceptual idea about 10 years ago when we were still living in New Zealand. And it sort of occurred at the time of the global financial crisis. And, we went through a sort of evolutionary process, and where we are today in the UK. And we now sort of proudly are looking to present Frega to what it is today and see where it takes us. And I'm here to support Anne-Marie in your podcast.
And Mandy.
I'm the other half of Paddy. Hi, everybody. We live in the UK. We were in New Zealand before that, originally from South Africa. Very excited to actually now have Frega rooms up and running and get able to move ahead with everything. So thank you.
It's lovely to meet you, Mandy.
Yes, you too. I've heard so much about you. I've just never met you. So good, and thank you for everything you do as well.
Yeah. And Barry, I know we've had lots of wonderful talks.
My name is Barry Medina. I actually have a question. Do you guys hear the music in the background by any chance, or is it not interfering?
Very slight.
It's fine, I think.
It's slight. I'll lower it. I'm sorry. I have a tendency when I do my broadcast, I have music in the background. My people are already used to it. But I started disseminating information. I'm not doing a screen share right now, but part of the Q dissemination, where we go one, we go all. And I actually started with text messages on regular phone. Then I got over to Facebook back chat. I didn't want to be in the forefront because they were talking about serious subjects. And then when we had the actual shutdown, that's when I realized all of this, what was going on was very serious, extremely serious. So people kept on getting in contact with me for information. I started doing segments every night on different subjects through back chat, text messaging on Facebook. Then we opened up a group, and then these guys got me on set up to do a podcast. So we started doing a live broadcasts. I'm in Florida, originally from New York. My family is from Puerto Rico. I have access to the South America market, the Central America market, as well as United States, East and West Coast. So I used to be a division manager for a mortgage company, an insurance company, and a debt settlement company. So I have people throughout the United States that know me for years that I've worked with on and off. So when I met Nat and then I met Anna Marie, I actually have my own team of admins that they kind of work for free. They're just working for the cause right now. So when I was deleted off of Facebook, I immediately sent a message on my back chats to get in contact with Nat and Anna Marie, because I immediately knew I wanted to kick this in. I always had in the back of my mind that I was going to introduce Frege to my group, but I was going to do it after the USA election. Things changed, and here we are.
Thank you so much for that, Barry. Oh, and I've also got Kim.
Hi, Kim.
He's doing all my marketing. Okay. Hi, Dennis. Good to have you on. So what I thought we'll do is start with a question. Thank you, Barry, because you've answered number one. What the podcast is about, it's about censorship and how people have been banned in censorship, and that there is actually solutions out there. Now, I haven't been able to get Brian on because we know how tough Brian is, don't we, Biddy? We've got to really pitch them.
I have a quick question. You're recording this, right? The podcast is getting recorded?
Yes.
All
So
right.
everyone's okay that it's recording?
Yep, happy with that.
And but he'll be on because there's 8 series to this. So we're going to break down the platforms and just the different things. So this one today is about, I've invited, do you want me to use your nickname, Biddy?
You could call me Biddy. That's what everybody, my real name is Elizabeth, but you could call me Biddy because that was my professional name. That's what everybody calls me. Just call me Biddy.
I thought I'd check. So so what's happened is I decided to do podcasting, and it's been really scary, hasn't it? Because I never ever thought this would be a track I'd go down.
Let me tell you, I neither did I. I've been in show business for a long time. I, as you know, got out of it because of how toxic the whole thing really is. And I never thought of this either, but this is a whole new world. This technology world is overwhelming, especially if you're not like technology savvy and if this was not your world. This is like, I feel like old school in a way. It's very overwhelming, I have to say. I'm not, but it's so good because you can connect with all of you people here. Like I'm connecting with New Zealand and, Australia. It's amazing, but you still want that personal contact. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? Like you still want to be in that room with the person still,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's, as I say, it's been very exciting. So this is the first, the second series, the second episode, but the first time we've started the interviewing. So I've invited Bitty and Barry on to the second because you're both being banned or censored with your information. And then the other person we've invited is Patty and Mandy, because they're founders because there's been other platforms too that have been set up. So there's lots of platforms. And so this is about looking at solutions that are available for those that have been censored or banned from their platforms. So what I wanted to do was start with you, Biddy, if that's okay. And I sent you some questions. And so have you got those questions? Yeah. So the first question was, who banned and censored you and how?
Well, I wasn't technically banned on social media, just to be very clear. I was banned from Hollywood. That's a different, shoot.
What did you do?
Oh, sorry. Or something happened. I didn't touch it. I'm sorry. I did not mean to. That was a natural reaction. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't mess up the podcast.
It's descriptive.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not scripted. This is not scripted at all. Sorry. But I just want to be very clear on that I was banned because I simply stood up for myself. You do not do that out here. You take the abuse. As you all know, in Australia, I'm sure you're very aware of this. I can't even watch it. It's awful. I know Australians here. It's very bad there. So So very long story short, the guy that I had the issue with was Jeff Zucker, who's the head of CNN right now, who's the head of king of fake news. Back then I didn't know. I'm now aware that my instincts were correct on him. But by being banned, that way, it's the same thing, just not on social media. You're not allowed to stand up for yourself. You're not allowed to change the narrative. You're not allowed to expose the truth on what's really happening in your work environment, or in Australia, if you were like just working at a place and you spoke out against the tyranny that's coming down with you there and all over the world, you would be ostracized. Well, that's what happened to me. Then what I did was I went on a path of, I thought I'd do a show in Hollywood to expose the propaganda of a television network, which is what I experienced. Thought of doing a series of that, 'cause that's what I knew. Then as time went on, it snowballed when Trump became elected to then start, this was like we're in development of a platform to solve the censorship problem. That's how it evolved for me, from acting, which I outgrew, to this, which I find way more fulfilling and having a purpose and doing the right thing. And so this platform of this, it's a start in development, it's a startup, is to solve the censorship problem. And how do you do that? I think from my research I think it's very simple, and I think it's common sense. You stop relying on these platforms. It's like being in a bad relationship. Why do we do this? I don't understand it. Why do we still try to stay on in an abusive relationship, right? I don't understand this. It's never going to change. And this is from personal experience. You put out a human olive branch to say, hey, I want to work with you. Let's just be, they're never going to do it. It's never going to happen. They're not going to go to the therapist's office and say, hey, I'm doing it. No, forget it. Because they're psychopaths. This is a mentality. It's just, there's no empathy. It's what they want, and that's it. They don't care. So I think with what I'm doing is to create a platform that is independently funded. We don't have funding. I don't know why we have the money on our side. We do have money. We just aren't getting the people to fund it. I look at it like an army. Like their army is organized and well-oiled machine that's funded, and we're not. We're always scrapping, like the Bad News Bears. Remember that film? We're always like, what happened in the Bad News Bears when he stopped drinking? When he stopped being an alcoholic? What happened to him?
So Elizabeth, what is the name of your platform?
Independent.
Because that's your solution to overcome the issues that you've had with being banned from Hollywood. What is the name of your platform?
Independent Global Media. And this is.
Are you the co-founder for that one?
I'm the founder of it.
The founder.
I'm the founder. Yeah.
Woohoo. Okay. Media.
I'm the founder. And my goal is to make it, see, the consumer can't find the products now. Even if you are aware of people, right? Think about this. You're busy in your life. You don't have time. You're just surviving. It needs to be easily found. The searching, like on these, what do they call it? I always forget, YouTube, the video platforms, the share video platforms where anyone could post anything. The problem with that is Joe Schmo out there who's working his butt off, okay? And just trying to survive all this stuff happening. They don't have time to research. They don't have time to go on YouTube, forget YouTube, Gab, or what, no, I'm sorry, what is it? A BitChute, library, memory, all these things. They don't know what to search for. Think about that.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Biddy. Now, what would your ideal platform look like?
It would look like a place where all of the information, the top-notch information that has been validated, not the crazy stuff that, there's a lot of stuff out there that's crazy too, is organized and easily to find. You go on there, you never have to leave. All nicely in categories, all nicely backed, and properly done like the other side. I think we should steal what the other side does, right? Take from their playbook of what they do well and apply it to us. And I think we will win, especially if Trump, I don't know, if you guys hate Trump, that's okay, but he's against, okay if you do, I'm not judging anyone, but the one thing he is doing is he's against the fake news. He's against it. And this is a moment in time where we have to take advantage of that. I think, because I think what happens when he's not in office, what's going to happen with that? That scares me. And I think with a platform that can be an aggregate, organized and funded to fight the war, because it's a war, because they attack you financially, they give fake lawsuits, cyber attacks, I think we will win. I do, but I don't think we're organized and unified yet. That's it.
Thank you so much, Biddy, for that.
You're welcome.
Now, Barry, can I get you to, so I sent you 3 questions. So the first one, you've answered part of it at the beginning, and it's who banned and censored you, and how did they do that? And then what's the solution to overcome these issues?
Yeah, I have the questions over here. I got them up. I actually was on the actual front line. So I got banned from Instagram and Facebook. The only thing they didn't take down was Twitter. But they banned me because what Patty was just saying, I actually had it organized. I ended up developing a Facebook group, and in the Facebook group, I had different categories or topics. As people would submit content, we would tag it into a folder. So if it was BLM, it would get tagged into the BLM folder. If it had to do with COVID, and then some of these things had two different topic sides. Like on the COVID side, you had Anthony Fauci, which is he was on the side of telling us we have to wear masks and all this crazy BS. And then on the back end, you have vaccine side, Bill Gates. So those two were different topics because they worked in unison with each other, but they were separate. We had one developing the vaccine to combat a cold. That's what it is. The mortality rate was and still is not there to shut the entire country down or entire world. So we did that, and the group started growing at a rapid rate. The second thing we did was we did a live broadcast. I didn't want to use the share sites like what she was saying, YouTube and so forth. Facebook just gave the ability to go live this year or within the last couple months. So I started doing a Facebook live stream, but I was using OBS and Restream to stream out to like 5 different platforms. So when I was doing my show, if I had to go over a particular topic, for instance, right now, the Hunter Biden laptop is a big situation or deal right here in the States. So all of the content that would be submitted into the group, I would cherry pick the videos. And it's funny because when you have a group of a few thousand people and they're submitting information, you're going to see the same type of information circulating. So one of the things I didn't allow was duplicates, but I had to approve content that was being submitted. So since I had to approve it, I would see somebody or 5, 6 people send me the same thing. So that told me that was something that was important. So having something organized in an organized fashion, that's definitely a solution. I think it should be left to the creators. If you have your own hub, your own profile, they should have the ability to be able to create that. And that's just a simple programming or plugin that they have to do on the site. But I 100% agree with Pat as far as we have to do what the other side is doing respectfully, but they are not playing fair. Okay, they're censoring conservatives. They're censoring people who are morally grounded, who are good people, because we don't fit their narrative, right? They wanted us to follow the stars, and we didn't do that. And when we had and so everybody understands the magnitude of what's going on right now, especially with the lockdown. When the lockdown happened, you had a lot of people who were extremely scared at home. So you had single professionals. You had, your grandma or your grandpa that maybe they were still living together, or maybe one of them passed away, the other one was on their own now, or you had single moms and so forth, and they're getting all this disturbing information from the fake news, which is the deep state. And then there's another level of the deep state, and I could talk about the satanic cabal another day, but that's another level of the deep state that we're dealing with in the USA. And if you combat them, and they know, evil can only triumph, or tyranny can only triumph, when good men and good women do and say nothing, right? So we are almost in a situation where Trump is in a deep state war. We have 189 countries that are working with the white hats in the world. There is information that's being disseminated to the public through back channels. If you have access to the back channels, the issue is that some of this language is coded language, so you have to understand how to read it. It's in military intel code language. So what ended up happening with me is people would send me the post because they didn't understand what they were reading, and they wanted me to decode it for them or explain to them what this meant. And if anybody's been following the Q dissemination, it's kind of like reading a book backwards. So my ideal platform, honestly, I like Frege. I like the way it's set up. I don't think that the setup is needs to be changed crazy. It has the hub layout is very similar to other. I'm just gonna put other because I don't even want to plug in their name, but I just think the usability needs to be more efficient. If that's more efficient, and like Patty said, if we have a way that we can organize content and create folder content, so this way when people come, like for instance, my company is called Truth News Now. And then the now is NQW. So everybody knows that, I dropped the Q there, that where we go one, we go all dissemination platform. But we're almost a crowdsourced news platform. So it's not just me giving everybody my worldview of what the news is. It's the collective is giving me the ability to report on what they're showing me, if that makes any sense. So if we increase the usability of these platforms, we're going to have more of that, because it's just going to become more popular. And that doesn't even put in the plug of being able to generate an income doing this, because I was doing this with a different mentality. Like I was doing this with what Patty was saying. I was doing it like I set up an entire home studio in my house. I can switch from one camera to another camera. And in my mind, I was like, well, I've always prospected and done business development. So I'm like, if I create a viewership and I have a few thousand people following me, there's some type of service or product that they're going to want. And that's the exchange of information. The show is free. And then if you supported me, you could buy, something from my store, and that's how we would break bread, I guess you could say. But I never even got to that point. They didn't even allow me to get to the point to, once I started building up the audience, I got immediately cut off. So, and then in my situation, it's a little more serious, because my modem is tagged in my house, my router's tagged in my house, my devices are tagged. Okay. So you guys understand this. My partner that keeps me running, he does analytics. He's the person who sets up intranetworks. And when they shut us down, they didn't just shut me down, they shut him down, and they shut another admin that he had that was a mutual friend that we really didn't conversate. We were part of the same groups and kind of like that, but I didn't talk to his other guy on a regular basis. They shut all three of us down. And by doing that, our groups got shut down, our pages got shut down, everything got shut down. In turn, my other partner that I used to do mortgages with, he just got shut down this week, and he has always kept politics out of the for work purposes. He's tried to keep politics off of his social media. So even though he's a Trump supporter and he understands what's going on, they still shut him down. They still deleted his account because he has a lot of realtors that are following him. So with that being said, what I need you guys to understand is that we have to start fighting back. Everybody has to start fighting back, because what Patty said is 110% correct, but it's more disturbing than that. There's analytical engineers, all right? Project Veritas has already verified this. There's analytical engineers that are reading the back end and reading the front end. That's illegal. These social media platforms have what's called a utility protection. They don't, they're not supposed to operate as a forum, all right, as a newspaper forum. If they're reviewing content and operating as a newspaper forum, that's a different protection or a different class. So they're working under a 204 utility protection. So the equivalent of what's going on right now, it's somebody knocking off your cell service or knocking off your phone service just before an election, and you're not able to communicate with the people around you. And the Gestapo techniques that they're using is they're trying to take away your voice. And by taking away your voice, they're intimidating you to say, hey, shut up. We don't want you to talk, right? We don't want you to do anything. Just stay in your corner. Don't say anything. Your voice doesn't matter. I don't want to take up too much time, but I wanted to add, because this is stuff that I was going over on a daily basis, and we have to fight back. So that's one of the reasons why I want to work with Frega, and I want to work with the developers of Frega. I've worked with CRMs and so forth in the past for business purposes. I know that the functionality things that need to be taken care of can get taken care of. And if we can get this stuff taken care of, I guarantee you that Frega is going to grow at a very rapid rate. I have big plans for this platform.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for that, Barry. I will get to you next, Patty and Mandy, and thank you to Elizabeth. Now, the other person that I wanted to invite on the show was Brian, but I left things a bit too late because it took me ages to get connected to him. Even though we're doing his course, I still had to pitch, and I wasn't successful. So my first pitch was not successful. Now, but I did want to share something about Brian Rose. So I actually didn't know Brian. As part of Frega, who I'm also one of the co-owners of the applications, I was looking for something for our mentoring group information, and I came across this video with this man that was talking, and I thought, he's very sincere, he's very authentic, and so I uploaded it.
I'm a fan. I'm just going to say I'm a fan.
Video. So I uploaded his video onto our platform. Anyway, the algorithm kicked in, and then suddenly I started getting all these messages from this London Real group. I thought, oh, yep, okay, so it's been watching me. And so he ended up sending all these videos, and I thought I'll connect to it. And I actually liked what the video was about, and I thought, well, it just feels timely. I tend to go with my gut feeling. And then I said, I really like the guy too, because one thing I was looking at was censorship and that there were solutions. And I believe that Frega is one of those solutions. So I'm going to give you a bit about Brian Rose. So what happened is Brian Rose had been fighting censorship since April 26. And he had put this this video up, and he was then deplatformed for violating what was called community standards. So he's got a lot of videos out there about how he's been censored as well. And he had, at the time, he was trending at 10 million views, and they went viral. And then next minute, his admins came back to him and said that he'd been shut down, and he couldn't believe it. He absolutely couldn't believe it.
They shut his YouTube video down, and it was after the David Icke episode. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I watched Brian Rose.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly when he got shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was by YouTube. And so he talked with his admin as well, like Barry, and what they had said that he was, if he was given another strike, he wasn't even going to get another strike. If he didn't comply, that was it, he was off. So what it did is it, for him, people will find that platforms should respect people's speeches. So he's actually set up his own platform, which is called the Freedom Platform. And as an extension of that, he's doing the broadcasting course, which Elizabeth and I are doing, which is called Broadcast Yourself. So that was just a little bit about it. Now, just going a bit further, Elizabeth, what's happened is Barry's new to Frigga. And when I'm going to ask the next questions to Patty, because Patty and Mandy are co-founders of another of those solution platforms. And so Barry's still finding his way around, but if it's okay, I'll let Patty do his questions and then everyone can ask questions, okay? And your answers. So the questions I had for Patty were 3 questions, and for Brian. So the first one was, how does your talking about your platform, what it is, and how does your platform address censorship issues?
Okay, before we do that, thanks so much, Anne-Marie, and thanks so much, Bitty and Brian, for Barry, sorry. Right, sorry, my apologies, Brian, Barry. Thanks, Barry. And I respect for what you've actually said there, and I can attest and sort of have an affinity to what you're experiencing. If I can just give a little bit of background before we actually go into your directly in your 3 questions. What does Frigga mean? Frigga is an acronym for Freedom, Global Abundance. All right, we've got one purpose, one philanthropic purpose, and we can broaden that, from that, and that is to be seeking to establish a world where the disenfranchised communities of the world can be emancipated one community at a time. So that's our sort of ultimate goal. And when I talk about emancipation, I'm talking about not just from a financial point of view, but the ability to be the best you can in the world, and to have a world where we can go through our life, we can look after our family, we can respect each other's views, we can sort of have our own policies, our own political views, and not be censored because of that. There's a whole lot of aspects to what makes a life a fulfilling experience. So Frigga has set out with that one goal, and one goal only. And we started Frigga as a conceptual idea, as an extension of when we originally started under the name of Real Stew. Now, Real Stew was an acronym for Ripple Effect, Empowerment, Abundance, Life-Changing, Sharing, Transparency, Energy, and Wisdom. So, and at that time, it was just after the global financial crisis had hit. The world, caught a sneeze, and the world caught a cold, and everything went into free fall. And suddenly, we lost the sort of control of our destiny. And to a large extent, what was very interesting, that event, that sort of genesis of what occurred in 2008 and 2009, a lot of what occurred there has brought us to this place where we are now. And I find it interesting that the world is going through another sort of catalytic change with COVID-19 now. And it's almost like history is starting to repeat itself. But this time around, we're ready for it, as opposed to last time round, okay? And if you can trace a lot of aspects of happening today, and what came out of the 2008, 2009, not just Real Stew where Frigga is, the GDPR regulations, the PSD2 regulations, the whole change in attitudes towards media, our privacy, respecting our privacy, a lot of the regulations, as you've seen going through into the European Union now, and people starting to sort of appreciate what it means to be online and respecting privacy, a lot of that movement has sort of come from 2008. And so it's important just to get that sort of background. Now, Frigga itself, we've reached this sort of, as much as we've been on this journey for 10 years, the technical aspects to our journey is only possible now. So, I believe everything moves, has for a reason. And if I was to sort of track, sorry, there seems to be a bit of an echo in the background there. I don't know how you...
Sorry to interrupt, Patty. Can we just mute everyone for now? That may change it, and then we'll just unmute when you're ready to talk.
Yeah, okay. You all good? Okay. So we reached this sort of point now. So while we may talk about a 10-year journey, I think to a certain extent we can probably go back just 1 or 2 years to where we are. But what we have established in Frigga is a more than just a bit of code, and there's an ethos behind it. And I think we've got to sort of take that as a rock bed to where we come from. Now, what's interesting is Alexander the Great got to the age of 33 and burst out crying because he had conquered the known world. But within 10 years of his death, his empire didn't exist anymore. And it proved one thing, that you can't by force of personality always be in control. So what we've gone and done with Frigga is we recognize that it doesn't matter if you may try and force against something, if you don't have everything in balance, if you don't have balance between your economic, social, and political life and find the right balance, it's not sustainable. And that gives us sustenance, because I don't believe these power movements that are taking place now can last if we are organized and more organized. And it is a winnable affair. We can win this battle. Okay, so we're going in the base. This is a winnable battle, and it's a case of how we do it. And the way we're going to do it is by becoming organized. Betty, very much what you said there. We've got to now be organized. We've got to be have everybody behind us. And the biggest asset we've got right now is that people have had enough. Okay, people have had enough. They want answers. Okay, and if we can harness the energy, not if. It's no question of if. We are harnessing the energy of the crowd right now, to bring about the changes that are occurring. Now, in terms, let's just now on that basis, let's address these three questions, because it will explain the model in its own context. First of all, on the question of censorship, who determines censorship? Well, first of all, the core rock bed of what Frigga is all about is that we have a core set of given principles where we won't go to, and we've set that as the guardrails, and that is, we don't, as a community, we're not into the we're anti-violence, we're anti-cruelty, anti-pornography. Okay, there's definitions, what is pornography and what's not, and that's a broadened field. But we're anti-cruelty to animals, anti-violence. So that's a starting point. As regards the rest, we don't have a set of shareholders that determine editorial policy. We don't have vested interest groups that determine editorial policy. The editorial policy is decided entirely by the community, by the crowd. And how we do that from a technical perspective, okay, and understanding that the crowd itself is a moving force. So what would happen is, if a post is out there, we don't ever have to agree on everything that's been said, but we will defend the right to say it. That's the starting principle of Frigga, okay? Because only by us agreeing and giving the right for people to say it is important, because we can then grow. Otherwise, we are no different to anybody else who takes a particular party line, and we're going to end up sort of going down the left or the right and down a rabbit hole, and we don't want to go there, because that's not going to solve anybody's problems, okay? So first of all, we have a platform. We don't have to agree, but we will defend the right for us to say it, okay? The second thing is, nobody will ever be censured in terms of their account closed. That will never happen in Frigga. There may be certain posts that will come up that, when it comes up, if somebody within the community feels an objection to that post for whatever reason, okay, they have the right to object to a post. At that point in time, technically what we'll be looking to do, and this is something that it's very much in the development, is that at that moment in time, we'll go to the community, the broad-based community, and say, call it 1,000 people, 5,000, 10,000, whatever that number is going to be at that moment in time, and it'll be completely programmatically done, where we will ask the 10,000, the 20,000, the 30,000 audience who was online at that time, what do they feel about that particular post that's been objected to? At that point in time, if the consensus among the community is that is not right, offbeat, it's something that against the core elements, then it will be voted accordingly in that moment in time. It will be taken down, but then subject to review. So that person who feels objected to it can request it to be reviewed, and another group of community that is randomly determined programmatically at that time will have an opportunity to review it again. So you would have a scenario, there is a guardrail in that, and if that post is taken down, it is given an opportunity to be reviewed and addressed, okay? But it's never going to be determined by me, you, or any one of us in a cultural group. It's going to be determined by the community, okay? Because then you can move forward. Otherwise, if you don't, you end up, it's almost like you get judged by your peers. not by an editorial policy, not by vested interest groups. It's by the community itself, the energy of the crowd. Now, why that is materially important, that we have some sort of a programmatic sort of ability to manage that sort of situation, is that we as a community will grow 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now. Okay, the norms and the way we communicate, engage will change as the mores changes of the community, and we're going to move with the times. But whatever happens, the post may be removed, but not the members' censorship. That member will have the opportunity to evolve from that, because the attitudes will change in time as well. So that's the first thing, the way we're approaching it. We can't have a platform that doesn't have any structure, because if you don't have structure, you can never move forward. Okay, it becomes waterless. And then if you don't have a structure, there's a danger of it being hijacked and put into a structural system we don't want to be. So that's why we would rather, as founders, set a set of principles. Okay, it's almost like, it's like a constitution. Well, it's a constitution. Okay, with there is a set of principles. So that's the first way we're approaching the editorial policy. The second thing is, which, sorry, yep. So,
the likes of, I'm just using Christchurch as an example here.
Yes.
The likes of the mass shooting that was live streamed in Christchurch, how would that be navigated? Because it was very
that'll, yeah, correct. That'll be handled in that nanosecond, that same way. What happened there when that mass shooting occurred? Of course, it took about. It took too long before it spread very, very quickly, okay, and it got into social media, and it caused its own sort of element of stress and that sort of thing. Now, in a situation like that, it was reported into the platform in that nanosecond. In that nanosecond, that is when somebody within the community would say, "Hang on, I've got an issue with the fact that this has been broadcasted, almost sort of publicized as a way of praise by the person who put up the post." Okay, within a nanosecond, it would have been ejected to by the community. There's no question about it. And in that nanosecond of technically, we would have put it out. The system, technology-wise, would put it out to the world there and then to say, "What do you feel about this? Should this post be taken down right now?" Okay, and I think you would find that from a technical point of view, within seconds, it would have received the go-ahead to be removed, to be taken down, but then put back to review. If that person who's put up the post or feel that there's enough people who object to be taken down, it can be put back again into review, and the community will have a chance to look at it again. But it's not. It's done on a programmatic basis, but it's a world constitution, if I can put it that way. Okay, so you can't allow anything to occur that doesn't have some sort of guardrails to technically manage it. Okay, but the most important thing is that it was you know.
Okay, I just want to interject real quick. I'm so glad that you're saying this, because I'm going to give a perfect example. When the Beirut explosion, I actually told this to Anne-Marie last night. When the Beirut explosion happened, there was a lot of, first off, we don't know exactly what happened there and for what purpose, right? We do know that there was tunnels underneath the shipping port, and we do know that they were pulling children out of those tunnels. I'm gonna leave it at that. But when the videos started coming out, we started getting cell phone coverage the same day. Some of the coverage that was coming in, it was disturbing coverage. Not only disturbing, but people wanted to see it. But what I found weird was, how are we getting the cell phone video content when some of these people who took some of those cell phones, those people passed away in the bombing? Okay, they were so close to the explosion, and they were filming when they were taking the explosion, that they passed away. Those people passed away. I agree with what you're saying. I got flooded. The group got flooded with video content from that explosion, and I did a live broadcast that Facebook obviously took down. But as a collective, it's good, because there's certain things people are going to want to see because it's newsworthy. But then there's certain things like pedophilia, and there's certain things like the snuff videos and things like that a community is not going to tolerate. They will not tolerate that. And that is 100% correct, because if anybody knows about the Pizzagate story or Comet Ping Pong or whatever the case may be, if they know about the owner of the Comet Ping Pong and his Instagram and the content that he was putting on his Instagram and the hashtags that they were using, it's very disturbing for anybody that has an analytical mind, that if you're reviewing this and you look at this, what's going on here, right? But he's up still. You understand? So there's a double standard. We're getting taken down for exposing this information when they're living it. They're living it and they're not getting taken down. We're exposing it and we're getting taken down. So there's a double standard there. But we're not being taken down by the community. The community wants us to expose this.
Correct,
we're being taken down by the oligarchy, because of tyranny.
Correct.
And you're 100% freedom will always prevail when good men and women stand up and say, no, we're not going to take it. We want to know what's going on. So I'm very happy that it's controlled by the community. That's important.
Totally.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Vested interest group, no shareholders group, nobody. That's it. It's the community that decides it. And that community changes over time as the mores changes of the community. But it is then the community, because it's not the community of the 2020 and the community that's going to determine what the 2030 and 2040 community is going to be. It's going to be the community of that time.
And Patty, can I intersect in the difference? Because one of the concerns we had, well, what happens if you get the community of like-minded people? But it ain't going to happen like that because of the way it's been set up. So can I get you to explain?
By sheer volume. You see, by sheer volume, because you let's look at Frigga from the perspective of this. When the day comes, and it's going to be, and there's hundreds of millions of us in the ecosystem.
You're my best friend.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're my
Yes, exactly. We're going to, it's sheer volume, you know. So, and it's the community. And what we would do is, if we know that at that moment in time, online, as it stands at the moment, there are 5 million people online on the ecosystem at that point in time, 100 million people, what it is. Programmatically, we will then immediately go out when an objection's been lodged, okay? And it's like jury duty, okay? All right. You don't know when the day you're going to go. You're going to be there, and you're going to be, you know, a member of Frigga. You're going to happen. It's going to pop up and say you are it. There's right now there are 15, 25, 30,000 people, which is a random sample, have now been selected right now with this moment in time to adjudicate on an aspect that's come forward. Okay, but that's not done programmatically where we say, right, we're always only going to ask men to do this because men are better. We're not going to ask women to because women. It's none of that. None of those factors are taken into account, and we obviously the code is going to be very important to make sure that we don't have that sort of bred the wrong way. But it's going to have to be the jury, the crowd, the community that determines it, and at that it's going to be handled programmatically, and there will be a review process, and you know, but post taken down, not the site of that member.
Now, Pat, is there any way that someone could be banned, and how would Frigga ban them, and why?
You mean the community bans them?
Okay, so it's a community.
Because the Frigga doesn't, the community. But all that will happen is they will ban their. Okay, what determines when a person's bad? Okay, I would say at the end of the, again, this is an evolving process. I would say if you probably get to the point where. And by the way, there won't be the bots involved, because I'll explain why and programmatically how we stop that as well. All right, and that goes into the deeper, bigger model of ours. Okay, so but there won't be. Let's put it this way: if yeah, a person will never. We don't want to get to a point where it says, okay, you're banned. Okay, it's not that. I would say the posts, individual posts are going to be banned, and maybe their posts are always not banned, all their posts are taken down. But for us to go and unsubscribe somebody, nobody can be unsubscribed, because the minute we start doing that, it starts raising a whole range of other permutations to the to what that a road we don't want to go down. Because at what point in time do we decide that? I don't know. But that anyway, that's probably going to be.
So that's an evolving thing, and it's new, and it's fine as a community finding ways to be more effective. Now the other question is, so what you've done is that you've talked about how the platform Frega addresses censorship issues. What makes the Frega platform unique in its solutions compared to other well-known social media? So if you were to summarize in a few paragraphs what makes it unique.
Okay. Well, first of all, we're not only a social media platform. Okay, you're thinking that social media is only one. Social media is only one channel of communication. Okay, we are a communication platform where, from one logged in position, I choose as an individual not to engage in Facebook and all these other sites. I choose to manage all my communication, all my knowledge, and all my money. All right, so you mustn't see us as social media, as you know, we are. Social media is just one channel of communication. Now, I choose to use this platform because it's cost effective. It allows me to run my business at a 90% cost saving to the traditional tools that are out there. It allows me to be a lot more responsive and proactive in my communication to run my business in a more effective way, and it allows me to find customers to look after my business. So Frega is, and I choose it as an individual. So what determines us is, first of all, we have an in-outward business structure as opposed to top-down. All right, there are no shareholders in Frega per se. Okay, there are capital providers that get a contributed share of the revenue for putting up the capital, but they're not shareholders. They're incommodate partners in the respect of different applications, but they are not shareholders in that sense. They are capital providers, which is, again, different. You get rewarded as an exchange of value for what you put up as capital. All right, but so first of all is we don't have a top-down structure of in-out. I am inside, and I'm working out. I choose to use this platform because it allows me to run my business with a website and all the bits and pieces at a 90% cost saving to the traditional tools that are out there. Okay, nobody has to beg me to use Frega. I use Frega because it's cost effective. Okay. Secondly, it allows me to be a lot more responsive, proactive, my communication, a lot more efficient, and I can increase my revenue. So when you say how are we different to the other social media, you said was what makes our platform unique, being able to provide a solution compared to other social media platforms. We're not just a social media platform. We are a business platform. We are a communication platform with all the channels. We operate as a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. We don't have a single employee in Frega, all right? And yet we have a global support and mentoring system and technical team around the world. So we don't have any employees, okay? And if somebody is going to help you in Frega, they're empowered to help you, not to paid to help you, but they're empowered to help you, to show you how to use the tools, and they are financially remunerated in a nice, compelling way to help you. So they're not going to help you because you've asked them to help you and they've got to try and make a living somewhere else. People are financially rewarded to support you to use Frega. We have a very interesting, unique model that the way we distribute the value, the commercial value, and that's proper commercial pounds and cents. So what's unique to us, which comes back into the last question of yours, is how are we sustainable? Because the existing business models that are out there are not sustainable, all right? Facebook and Google and these guys are not sustainable. They're going to close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just add something to that, Patty, and then I'll let you finish?
Yeah, and
I want to weave it into what.
I want to add also to the Facebook thing about what you were just saying. When you just let me know when I can interject, because you're absolutely 100% right. They're not sustainable. Trump just passed an executive order within the last 60 days, taking away their utility protection. And right now,
yeah.
Exactly, it's Section 230. Yeah. So right now, what's happening is, you got to remember they have a monopoly over Instagram and WhatsApp and Facebook. Now, I have a lot of friends from South America. I go to South America, go to the Caribbean. My family's from Puerto Rico. I have friends in Colombia. So we use WhatsApp. So that means that they are seeing a good bulk of communication. But with Trump taking away their utility protection, people like me, I've been documenting how I was banned. I've taken screenshots. I've also have conversations with my back chats. Eventually, they're going to put a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit, and it's going to be a situation where multiple people are going to come in, and that it hasn't happened yet. But there's going to be an attorney that's going to put the whole thing together, and it will break these companies. They're going to break them. That's the whole purpose of taking away their utility protection. You're 100% right. getting back to what you were saying as far as the way I like to view Frega is that it's a profit share, and it's crowd funded and crowd repaid profit share. So as a collective, we build the platform, and as a collective, we also get rewarded in compensation platform. So, and the reason why I want to make that make that point is because here in the United States, I'm going to be growing out this platform at a rapid rate, and I know that this is getting recorded, so I'm going to be sending this out to my group as soon as I get the recording from Anna Marie and Nat. And you are awesome, by the way. I appreciate you a lot, and I always like to talk to somebody who I can view as a mentor and who's been in it, because I bought my first house when I was 21. I was already running a mortgage office. I was part of the 2008 crash. I had already been in the mortgage industry for about 8 years. I was 28 at the time. So I had put up almost $150,000 of my money that I made. Nobody gave it to me. And I opened up an individual office, and unfortunately I lost. So I understand what happened in 2008, and everything that you're saying about 2008 was important. Ironically, that's when I started paying attention to politics, because that's when I realized the politics can influence your business, and it can either make or break your business. Because I actually started a debt settlement company, and then Obama went ahead and changed laws because it's a bankruptcy alternative. And anyways, they changed laws, and I had to close that company, so I had to let go of 100 employees. So ever since that happened, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy ran on this platform, but he's doing the opposite of what he said he was running for. And that's when I realized that Obama, Bush, and Clinton, they're all a mafia. It's all been controlled until Trump got into office and so forth. But what you're saying about the 2008 crash up until now is 100%, because all of my admins, I got about 15 of them. They're all dudes that worked for me in the past or work with me, and they have gone through this cycle. So everything you're talking about, we've gone through it, and we started paying attention to what's going on, and we've been paying attention to what's going on from 2008 all the way until 2020 for the last 13 years.
Thank you so much, Brian. So,
yeah, Brian, you're awesome. I definitely want your contact.
Thank you. That was awesome. So what you've done is you've also answered to because I think the sixth question is really important. And what I had put out to both Patty and to Brian was, is your platform sustainable for future generations? Now, I just want to recycle back on that. What's happened is when Brian Rose was censored, he then had to find the money to be able to set up a freedom platform. Now, with the help of his team, they were able to raise $100,000 to be able to get 1 million viewers. What I said to Brian is, we can do it for a lot less, and this is about sustainability, because what's happening is a lot of groups have to keep coming up with money. But there are solutions that can actually do that for you. So it takes away the hard work, and that's what I wanted you to just touch on too, Patty. Why is it that Frega is able to do all that? How is it that we are sustainable compared to other?
Well, I'm more of a frugal bastard than Brian is. All right. So, okay, first of all, the reason why our business model is quite unique is that we've stripped all the fixed overheads that make it expensive to build a platform. All right. We don't have a single fixed overhead in the operation. Everything is a variable cost. Correction, our only cost is our cost of our server, which is £1,200 a month. All right. And then that's covered by a whole lot of transactional clips the ticket, and it's covered. So we don't doesn't cost us a single cent to acquire new members. Okay, a new member comes along to use any one of our existing tools in order to run their business more efficiently, and they organically bring their existing clients on board. Just if I get somebody to interface with me on my CRM system in order to keep in contact with them, just that process whereby they register to engage and interact with me means they are now part of the Frega ecosystem. They immediately get a distributed share of the value. It opens a Frega account, and all the other bits and pieces take into place. And at that point in time, they are a member of Frega, so it organically grows. But and then it's only at that stage when they say, right, they want now to know more of how the Frega tools are used, then certain members of the ecosystem will decide to take on more tasks, become mentors, and we have a very interesting algorithm that rewards financially those people that choose to be more proactive than others in supporting others to show them how the platform is used. And that algorithm is quite interesting. It's a whole, it's basic actuarial mathematics, applied mathematics behind it. And you're going to find that if you come along and you're wanting to know more how to Frega to be used, we pair you up with a mentor. The mentor will show you the tools. That mentor is remunerated in a very compelling and financially rewarding way. So you don't have to worry about that. But you will find that the end result of using the Frega tools, if you're running a business, is that you're going to reduce your costs of running your business in a tangible way. 90% reduction of what you're currently paying in order to have a website and CRM shop and e-commerce and all the bits and pieces. You will be operating more efficient in how you operate, and you will increase your sales. And at the end of the day, if I ask any business right now, what's the three most important things? Reduce costs, be more efficient, and increase my sales. And that's exactly what we do. And that process whereby they are efficient allows us organically to get more people into the ecosystem because their clients are now part of Frega. And then the mentors take over. So you'll find that it's a sustainable model. Therefore, the Frega today, keep in mind that it's quite unique that we've just released Frega Rooms, because what's particularly unique about that is Zoom has got close to 300 million people are interacting on Zoom every day at the moment. But what they don't do on Zoom is the ability for you to buy and sell products in the course of the call. And you can't retain shared documents in a folder that you can refer to later from the group. So whereas with Frega Rooms you can. So we've gone and provided a value proposition to Zoom that Zoom has enhanced the value of Zoom, which means that we're about to present to 300 million people every day an opportunity at no extra cost to them to use their existing Zoom call with more features. But what that does do is organically we're going to end up with 300 million people part of Frega. It has the real possibility.
Can I ask you a question in regards to this? Because it's important to me because I broadcast. So the way I was broadcasting before was I was using OBS, and then I was using Restream to restream through Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and so forth. Would I be able to use Restream and OBS with Frega Rooms and Zoom? And is that something that, because my guy is really good, so like if I can get him in contact with the right person, he can help set whatever needs to be set up on our end. I know it's not the normal, that's not not the normal situation, but the reason why I want to do that is I want to still broadcast to these other platforms. That's how I'm going to bring people over to Frega, because they're going to know that the content is on Frega, it's organized on Frega, and then my master broadcast is through Frega, but I'm still got to broadcast to these other places so people could say, oh, wait a minute, I didn't even know that existed, So, and people start porting over. And then what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the admins. They're going to be in the chat. When somebody says, oh, I want to log in, they'll go in and say, oh, let me help you go through the process to set up an account and so forth. So I'll have that support.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
To answer your question, first of all, if you do a Zoom call, if your existing Zoom call can be live streamed into those, yes, the answer is you can. At the moment, the Zoom call can be lived into YouTube and Facebook. All right. That's a standard feature of Zoom. So we are able to live stream the Frega Rooms call into Facebook and YouTube. From a technical perspective, it can, and again, I need to speak to our technical guy, Chris. Who's sort of pretty up there on that side, and we probably need him to speak to your technical guy. But are you able to this stage, when your initial origination of your call, do you use Zoom to originate the call, or do you use?
No. I was using Facebook initially to start broadcast. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I was using OBS. OBS is a software to broadcast, and then Restream is was tagged into OBS to be able to send it out to YouTube, Facebook, and whatever else we attach to Restream. So OBS is the broadcast software, and then Restream is the one that kind of channels it out. It's the one that allows you to add a channel within the broadcast, I guess, if that makes any sense. So if I have Truth News Now set up on Facebook, it can even be somebody's personal account, whatever it is, YouTube, Facebook, as long as I have that channel, I'm sorry, as long as I have that channel, I can use Restream to be able to broadcast over there. So I guess the question is, does Zoom work with Restream? That's the question.
Let's put it this way: if we can get a copy of Zoom. So if you don't need to be real time, it could be a second later. So what I'm sort of saying is if we can take a copy of Zoom, and there's no reason why we can't record. We can record Zoom, the Zoom call, and you can put it convert it as a video file. And then to broadcast it, I don't see why, if we can make a copy of it, we cannot broadcast it. I don't see why not. Okay, it doesn't have to be real time. It could be, a moment in time. So I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do pay attention to the chats. One of the things, especially now with this shutdown, one of the things that made the show popular. I've always been good at multitasking, so. I'm paying attention to the chats. If somebody asks a question, they're going to get a real-time answer. So they tell me, hey, Barry, XYZ happened, or, did you hear about Hunter Biden, XYZ? Yeah, I would because I reverse image check a lot of the stuff that's sent over to me. So I'll tell them, no, this is a bogus image that didn't check out. And I'll do it with them while I'm on the broadcast, which is something that Biddy was saying earlier. People, they want real, that's what people are looking for, right? Real interaction, right? And everybody's desperate for information right now because they know they're being manipulated, especially stateside and Australia. I had a specific on the group, I had just a topic for Australia because I started seeing that United Kingdom and Australia, there was things going on there that nobody was really talking about over here in the States. So I think if we can figure out how to even like you said, I can record and then rebroadcast that recording at the same time. I mean, the other thing I can always do is I could just have two different recordings from two different platforms. I could have one for Frega and then the other one because any good business you need to prospect. So it's important for me to restream to these other platforms because those people, I want to create interest. And once they start seeing Frega on the broadcast, they're going to familiarize themselves with it. Nobody buys anything unless they see it 3 to 5 times, especially if they see it 5 times. Now they consider it familiar. And then, like you said, there is no cost to sign up. It's really, I mean, it doesn't cost much more than an introduction to the platform. And then once they get an idea that the usability is very similar to what they're used to, they'll move. I have so many people that are frustrated with what's going on with the censorship, and they're upset because the things that we're disseminating, it's important for them to know. I mean, we have 800,000 children in the United States that go missing every year. Those kids are being put on shipping containers and being sent to other countries, and then we have kids that go from other countries that are disappearing, and those kids are being sent to the United States. So the human trafficking problem it's a real bad problem. That's one of the reasons why we're building the wall on the southern end, because we have a bad human trafficking problem nobody's really talking about. So all of this is real stuff that people want to learn, and they don't find it disturbing. You understand? Some of the content and imagery is disturbing, but they want to see it because they want to know what's going on. Because everybody they're hiding what's going on because there's big money. There's actually more money behind human trafficking than there is in the drug business because of organ harvesting. So if you can help me with that, that's something that because I definitely want to learn how to use Zoom better, and I definitely want to see if I can link Zoom with Restream. And one of the things that if I could do with Frega, anybody else who wants to run a channel or run a podcast, I wouldn't mind working with them to show them everything that I'm doing, because the more people that we have doing this, the better. There's so many people out there that are in the dark. We need more people.
Elizabeth.
Like we need more people
Brian,
talking.
Yes.
I'm going to take you
Yeah,
up on that.
there's only so much time a day, and some people are going to like your personality better than me.
Oh, no. I love your, but Brian, I got it. Brian, correct? That's correct, right? Brian.
Barry. Brian couldn't make it. Brian's the other Frigga boss.
Barry.
Eddie?
Yeah, okay, Barry, because it says Truth News. And so I'm sorry, Barry.
Truth News, Barry, and then you have Biddy's you, and then you have Patty, right?
Okay.
Yes.
And Brian was the one that's our missing guest today.
Yeah, Barry, I'm gonna take you up on that, because as I said in the beginning, this course goes so fast. The technology is absolutely overwhelming me. And when you guys are talking, I want to understand what you're saying, but I don't understand the technology terms. Remember, I was an artist my whole life. This is just like, oh my God.
That's good.
But I know it's so important to understand this, to get what the people want out there. This is a whole new world now. So I'm going to take you up on this. And Patty, one question. And Frega, how is that spelled? F-R-E-G-A.
F-R-E-G-A, yeah. Frega.
The acronym is Freedom Global Abundance.
Freedom.
And the good thing, Biddy, the good thing about us is and I'm sure that Frega has the ability also, but Dan can remote access your computer. So he'll tell you where your diagnosis is, if it can broadcast, what can be done. Your camera, if it's up to speed, will get you with the right software and so forth. And that's not going to be a problem. We can do that. That's easy. It's just, but one thing I do want is I obviously want to show these guys the income potential. So I know that once they start seeing their account develop, they're going to even get more motivated to do. I could pretty much get anybody to do what I want them to do, because I have a good relationship with people. But Dan in particular, if I tell him to do me a favor, we can overlook your system, and I could tell you what type of camera to get. Like, for instance, the camera that I'm using right now, I only paid $40 for this camera, and it's a 4K 1080p camera, high definition camera. It's very, very good. If I switch it, and just so you see the difference, I'll show you guys this real time. But this is the original camera. You see the difference? It's totally different.
I look in Boston on that camera, on the old one.
Yeah, you're not going to get the same quality. And then, if I show you guys, I'll just see if I can. But I got the light set up on the side. We have a tripod over here. I got another tripod up there. So I can tell you exactly what to get. And there's a way to set it up to where you could do a basic broadcast. Like right now, I'm broadcasting, I'm using the front camera, but I have an iPhone 8, I have an iPhone 11, I have an iPad. He has me set up to where I can click, when I'm broadcasting, I can click from one camera to another camera and so forth. I can actually walk around my house, switch from my computer to one of my other devices, and go get something to drink and still continue with my broadcast, which is important to me because I didn't want to be tied to a desk. If I'm going to be able to work remote, I want to be able to not be tied to a desk anymore. I've worked many, many years, ever since I was 19, 18 years old. I've worked behind a desk, and I want freedom to be able to move. And that's another thing that's great, that Frega is getting better with being mobile friendly, because everything's done with the cell phone, especially right now in the States. The iPhone 12 Pro just came out with 5G, and everybody's getting that phone. I just put my order in yesterday for that cell phone. So everybody's getting that cell phone. All my admins run off iPhone. So if the more ability that we have, because you'd be surprised, it's actually sometimes easier to broadcast from the cell phone than it is from the computer, because these cell phones come equipped with a quality microphone. One of the issues I had is I ended up having to get this mic because every time I moved my mouse prior, it was creating static. So these are little things that if somebody was broadcasting on their own, it would drive them crazy, between the picture quality, between the performance quality, the mic, and so forth. We literally fixed all these problems within a week time, or I think 3 or 4 days time. So when people were watching my broadcast, they immediately saw, like, from the first day that we did the first broadcast to like day 7, they were like, oh, okay, these guys aren't playing around, because every single day, once we ran into a problem, we fixed it, moved on to the next. But if you don't have the resources monetarily, and you don't have the personnel, this stuff can drive you, this technology stuff can drive you crazy. And me, I'm familiar with the technology, but I have more of a creative mind. I can tell people what I would like to do, and then I have the right people that can help me in return. But what makes me, and I think anybody around me, good in the sense is that we want to pay it forward. I don't want anybody to run into the same problems that I ran into. If I can help you, right, that's just going to make us have a relationship, a better relationship. And then in the future, if I need something, it ends up being an exchange. And the good thing with Frega is that since we're being financially compensated and we're able to make money, it's that much easier to be able to say, I'm going to help this person because I have my passive income and I don't need to worry about my 9 to 5 on my spare time and XYZ. So the community support here is going to be even better than any other platform, because try to get in contact with somebody at Facebook. You can't. You send an email and then you won't get a response. Matter of fact, I submitted my passport and my ID because they wanted to verify my account. Okay. And I sent it to them 5 times. And everybody, my mom was like, you sent your ID to Facebook? Why would you do that? I'm like, that they asked me. And then I talked to Dan, and Dan's like, yeah, what they're doing is they're cataloging people. If Trump doesn't win, now you're tagged. You're like in a folder, and now they have your driver's license and your passport. And think about that. I mean, if my passport gets disconnected or whatever the case may be, it means I can't leave the United States.
Yeah.
You know? Or if I have identity fraud, and it's because I sent it to Facebook, and then what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't have anybody I can contact. I don't have anybody to speak to. We don't have support like this, like how we're able to speak to Patty and Brian and Anne-Marie and Nat and so forth. So in times like this, community is important.
Totally.
And what's going on right now is very, very important.
Most definitely.
So
another thing which is very important, Barry, is on what's very, very important about Frega is everything we do on Frega, we work to make each one of us irrelevant. Okay, so I am continually striving, as is Anita and all of us, to make us Frega work despite any one of us, not because of one of us. It's very important. Okay, so we want to get to a point where we are irrelevant individually, because if we don't, then we're just an organization that's based on some sort of hierarchical structure. Okay, and everything we do is based on not being here. The ecosystem is the engine that drives it, not the individuals, because when that happens, the day will come, there will be 1 billion of us on Frega. 1076 sleeps from now, there'll be 1 billion of us on Frega, all right? And that's 3 years, by the way. And we are everywhere, and nobody can find us because we're everywhere. So it's none of us are relevant individually, but collectively we are, and that is the biggest strength we have. And that's a continuous thing. So the ecosystem in every component of the system is what's driving it forward. Otherwise, we are very vulnerable.
Thank you so much, Patty and Biddy and Barry. You've got me starting to change his name, Patty.
Right.
So Barry, I'll always remember you as Barry. What I'm going to do is, because I really appreciate all your time, and I had set this for an hour, but I'm going to open it up to questions and answers from anyone that wants to ask questions. We've got Sian here. Sian's a very successful businesswoman. Dennis as well, and Carol. They're all members of Frega as well, and they have their own stories to tell. But I'm going to stop the recording, but to open it up to anyone to ask each other questions.
That sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.